Good morning, everyone. I don't know where you are in the world, but where I am, it's very cold. It's snowing. Got my cup of coffee. Oh boy. Okay, we're gonna talk about the last house on Needless Street. Okay, it has a very nice cover. Okay, there's a cute cat. It's very dark ambiance, and it's by Catriona Ward. I think that's how you spell it. And there's a forward by there's actually like a quote by Stephen King in the bottom. So I love Stephen King. This writer seemed interesting. Never read of her books. Wanted to try it out. Okay, how to approach this one? There's more negatives than positives for me. This book is for a very specific type of audience, and as somebody who's read a lot of psychological thrillers slash horror books, this wasn't for me. It was pretty predictable, but there's one thing we need to clarify. This is not a horror book. I don't know why people keep calling it a horror book. Even on Goodreads or other booktubers, they keep calling it a horror. It's just not. This is a psychological thriller, if anything. Here's how it goes. You read the first 100 pages, and it's the story of basically four characters. You have this creepy guy living in the house. You have his daughter there who's not let outside much. You have their cat who speaks kind of like a human, but also like a cat. It's very interesting actually. The cat was probably the best part of this book. Just the chapters with the cat were just so much fun, and it was so unique and so well done. And then you have this neighbor who moves next door, right? The first 100 pages are so confusing, and I almost gave up at page 90. Now, I did force myself to go through it, and I eventually did. So, here's where the positive starts. Everything after page 90 or 100 is all good. I really enjoyed it. The rest of the book, just like fly through after the first 100 one, I just read the whole thing. Very easy. And I really enjoyed the second part of the book, not the first one. The first one, I could see so many people just not being able to stick around for that long. It was very slow. Even though 100 pages is not a much for me, but like it felt slow. It had that feeling. Now, the themes that are played around and experimented with within this book is mental illness. I don't think you can write mental illness very well. I don't think anybody can. Is a hot take I have. So Catriona Ward is definitely a very skilled writer. You could definitely see how she's setting things up and how interesting characters there are, and they're like the way they interact with each other. But the way just the mental illness is written in this book, I'm not a big fan of. That's mainly because it's such a tough subject to write about, and there's a lot of things you need to be careful about when you're writing about it. You need to be careful not to like romanticize it or whatever. And this book definitely doesn't do that, but it's still like very hard to pull off, and I think most books can't. And that's like, despite Catriona being an amazingly like she's pretty good at writing. I really like enjoyed reading many parts of this book. But overall, if you're gonna put the whole thing as an experience together, it wasn't for me. I didn't like it. The ending was very predictable, to be honest, and it's almost a bit too predictable. Where you're like, okay, I'm sure it's not gonna go like this, right? It's not this. These things are not gonna happen, and then you're like, and then you're led to believe, yeah, okay, those things are not going to happen clearly. And then we're walking together, we're taking a hike on top of the mountain, and as soon as we reach the top of the mountain, the writer just basically shoves you off the mountain, and then you fall down, and you're like, what was that? Now, some people enjoyed that aspect of like the big twist at the end, because there is a big plot twist at the end, but I personally did not vibe with it. Despite everything I've said so far, I would still try to read another book by Catriona Ward, because I think she is clearly a very skilled writer, and I would like to see what more she has. Definitely this one, I would give it 2 or 3 out of 5. I don't like the 5 scale much, but if I had to, somewhere between a 2 and a 3. If you're somebody who's read a lot of psychological thrillers slash horror books, be careful. This is might not be the most original thing out there. Or well, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a good one.